A story here from a really devastated Washington Post today. Headline says it all. Historic oil spill fails to produce gains for U.S. environmentalists. Now, what kind of thinking must you have? In order to look at the oil spill that way, you have to have a political agenda in mind. And with each mounting day, or each passing day, there's mounting evidence that this disaster is a tool, or it was hoped to be a tool to advance a political agenda. For environmentalists, the BP oil spill may be disproving the maxim that great tragedies produce great change, a maxim we have never heard before. We heard some talk about how a crisis should never go to waste, but I've never heard this maxim, that great tragedies produce great change. Traditionally, American environmentalism wins its biggest victories after some important piece of American environment is poisoned, exterminated, or set on fire. Well, what a movement to be part of. What a movement to be proud of. Your cause only accelerates and only advances when devastation happens. Come to think of it, that's liberalism. Come to think of it, that's the Democrat Party. Whenever devastation occurs, whenever destruction occurs, your political agenda advances. What's good for you, if you're a Democrat and a leftist, is not good for America. And what's good for America is not good for you. And so the Washington Post here, bitterly disappointed, just sad as they can be, over the fact that this BP oil spill has not made more environmentalist wackos out there. And I'm sure that Obama and his boys were counting on this to be a big victory. An oil spill and a burning river in 1969 led to new anti-pollution laws in the 1970s. The Exxon Valdez disaster helped create an Earth Day revival in 1990 and sparked a landmark clean air law. But this year, the worst oil spill in American history, and before that, the worst coal mining disaster in 40 years, have not put the same kind of drive into the debate over climate change and fossil fuel energy. Damn it. What's wrong with this country? The Washington Post wants to know, what's wrong with America? Why aren't we rising up against the energy producers? Our media masters have done their part. Oh, Anderson Cooper, 124, CNN learning that it is perhaps a crime to go cover the BP oil spill. The regime is not letting people in there who want to report on this factually. Speaking of the regime, one more phrase from this Washington Post story. Senate is gridlocked on cap and trade. Opinion polls haven't budged much. Gasoline demand is going up, not down. Damn it. Environmentalist wackos say they're trying to turn public outrage over oil-smeared pelicans into action against more abstract things, such as oil dependence and climate change. But historians say that they are facing a political moment deadened by a bad economy, suspicious politics, and lingering doubts after a scandal over client scientist emails. Oh, how outrageous. How outrageous that the truth would get in the way. And this is what always happens to the left, what always happens to the Democrat Party, what always happens to leftists. The truth eventually gets in their way. The truth is what derails them. The difference between now and the awakenings that followed past disasters is as stark as on versus off, said Anthony Leiserowitz, a researcher at Yale who tracks public opinion on climate change. I wonder how much his education cost him. Hey, Anthony, what do you want to be when I grow up?
Well, Dad, I want to research public opinion on climate change at Yale University.
Well, that's a great ambition, little Anthony. I'm sure since nobody else is interested in it, you can own it. And apparently he does. Leiserowitz, I think that's the correct pronunciation of his name, said people's outrage is focused on BP. The spill has not been automatically connected to some sense that there's something more fundamentally wrong with our relationship with the natural world, because we are the natural world. We're not apart from it. What is our relationship with the natural world? What are we, unnatural? Are we supernatural? Extra natural? What are we? Are we not part of nature? We have a relationship with it, but we're not part of it. Well, what this means is we obviously need more pictures of oil-smeared pelicans. Have you heard about the sea turtle that has fallen in love with a toy? Have you, seriously? Obviously, God wasn't looking when they were passing out the genes in turtle creation. A turtle has now fallen in love with a toy turtle. And we try to tell me that lights will affect where turtles walk. The story of 2010 is not that nothing happened after the BP spill or after the coal mine explosion. It's that much of the reaction has focused on preventing scientists, on tighter scrutiny of rigs and mines, rather than broader changes, or preventing accidents, rather than broader changes in the use of oil and coal. Oh, it's a dismal day. It's a horrible day. The disaster is the disaster, and it hasn't worked. What good's a disaster if it fails? The disaster was supposed to be focused on preventing or tighter scrutiny of rigs and mines, and Obama's doing his part. Have you heard, despite 2 court rulings overturning the moratorium, Salazar said, "To hell with it. We're gonna have a drilling moratorium anyway." He did. The hell with the courts. It's lawlessness. Why isn't Mr. Salazar held in contempt of court by the judges who have overruled his oil drilling moratorium twice? And they're going to go ahead with it, which I predicted. Washington Post, the story of 2010 is not that nothing happened after the BP spill. It's that nothing happened restricting the use of oil and coal. What's wrong with people? I joined the Washington Post in asking this question. Why haven't these 2 wonderfully timed accidents, the oil spill and the mine disaster, why haven't they made us give up on mining for coal and drilling for oil? Why haven't they? The regime gets it. Why do the American people not get it? By the way, there's polling data out there that is not good for the regime. Obama has fallen below 50% approval with white, college-educated women. This is a milestone. I'm not trying to be funny about this. That is the base of the Democrat Party in many states, white, college-educated women, and Obama is under 50% approval. Not a good day for the Washington Post, folks. I mean, the stuff that they're running today, they might want to have a suicide watch in the newsroom over there. The fading embers of Obama's coalition is the headline of a Mark Thiessen story. Here's a quote. Bottom line, Republicans are riding a wave of voter enthusiasm, while Democrats are fighting a rip current of bitterness among many of their core constituencies. To avoid getting swept out to sea, they are pandering desperately. But for those they're trying to appease, it may be too little too late. And for the rest of America, it's a sad reminder that change we can believe in has given way to politics as usual. What an indictment. The Washington Post has just thrown Obama overboard. Change we can believe in has given politics as usual. The fading embers. And then Dan Balls and John Cohen, also in the Washington Post, about the Wall Street Journal NBC poll, confidence in Obama. The Washington Post ABC poll, sorry. Confidence in Obama reaches new low. Not a happy day at the Washington Post. They are terribly shaken. First, the oil spill has not resulted in any significant change in public opinion on global warming and climate change. Neither did the coal mine disaster. And now the beloved leader of the regime is sinking faster than a rock in the Gulf of Mexico, being funneled down to stop the oil leak. Democrats are also outraged at Gibbs, the White House press secretary, for assuring a Republican victory in the House coming up in November. Says he's negatively impacting fundraisers or fundraising and is demoralizing the troops. I say the troops, based on what I read, based on what I see, based on what I hear when they call here, the leftist troops are demoralized. We had 2 big stories yesterday. 17,000 word pieces in the Nation and so many others. They're not getting anything happy about, or not being happy about anything happening. They're disappointed. It's not happening fast enough. There's absolute misery on the left.